great scientist who works with the various organizations in India. My friend, philosopher, guide, and what have you. He's like my brother, Dr. Karthikeyan, and my other brothers and sisters present here, and my good friend, whom I call Tony, but he is Anurup Singh, and the members of the Life Positive. I like that word, life positive. Life has to be positive. There should be no negativity in life. Life Positive Movement, let me call it as. Journal, of course. Members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Well, and inviting me here for this keynote address, which I love because this is my passion in life. Like in any other walk of life, we should not have caste system in healing. There shouldn't be different castes of people. Western medicine, alternate medicine, complementary medicine. This is a copy of the American style, CAM. CAM is an American word, which but what I like about Americans is they teach CAM in the conventional medical college. Their course is 4 years because it's after graduation, which they call as MD, but 3.5 years they teach the Western medicine. I don't want to call it as modern medicine, Western medicine. And the 6 months they teach what's called CAM. Very interestingly, Ayurveda is excluded in CAM. So I was fighting with the American establishment. But the reason is not America, reason is our government. You can practice acupuncture in New York, legally. You can't practice Ayurveda in New York. Because China did not forget their past when they became independent in 1948. We of course had British leaders in India after independence. You probably don't know these incidents. When they wanted to have a C-in-C, Commander-in-Chief, our then Prime Minister called all the generals in the army and said, look, we don't have a really experienced man to be a C-in-C. So why not we have a British man invited here to be a first C-in-C. There was this General Rathod who had the courage to talk to the Prime Minister, and he got up and said, Mr. Prime Minister, since we do not have an experienced man to be the Prime Minister, why don't we invite a Britisher to be the Prime Minister of India? And our friend was completely stunned. He never expected that answer. So he said, would you like to be the C-in-C? He said, no. We have a C-in-C, potential C-in-C, who is better than any British C-in-C or general, and that is General Cariappa. That is how General Cariappa became the C-in-C first time. So unfortunately what happens is, we have been having Western ideas, I call them RNIs, resident non-Indians. They live here, but their mind and the intellect is from the West. So they continued the Western thoughts and never ever allowed Ayurveda and other systems to grow under the tutelage of the government. So it grew on its own. That's a different thing, because it can grow. Even if you try to kill Ayurveda, it won't die, because Ayurveda is the mother of all medical wisdoms in this universe, if you really go deep into history. Alexander the Great invaded India, but of course he didn't come to India, but his army came up to North India. He couldn't go down further because malaria killed most of the soldiers. But while they went back, they took all the Pandits and the texts from India. And they went back to Alexandria. Alexander did not go back. He found a beautiful girl in Persia and called himself the Emperor of Persia and died of typhoid fever. And the treatment in Western medicine for typhoid fever was bloodletting. When he died, he wrote a beautiful thing. He said, his dead body must be carried by doctors, to show to the world that these so-called doctors, Western medical doctors, have not been able to save the great emperor. Number two, his hands must be outside the coffin to say that the emperor did not take anything with him. 3, all the germs and other things must be strewn all over the road on the path to the cemetery. Because people should know that wealth collecting does not really help. You collect all the money, and if you want to be happy, give it. Beautiful thoughts. Anyway, the textbooks went to Alexandria, and Alexander had built a beautiful what you call academia, a beautiful hall for people to come there and exchange ideas and brainstorm. What a thoughtful thing in those days. And Alexandria lived on even after Alexander died. And Alexandria, the Greeks had two kinds of meetings. One is called seminar, the other one is called symposia. Seminar is derived from semen. So if you have a seminar, you must have a new idea at the end of that. Because semen produces a new baby, it's a new idea. Symposium is a nice word for Greeks. You come there, talk, discuss, agree to disagree, eat, drink, and go. So most of our meetings are the second half. The first half doesn't come. So the scholars there studied Ayurveda, and if you look at Hippocrates' treatise, it is nothing but a translated version of Charaka Samhita. The pulse examination, the Tridosha theory, the humus theory, and if you go deep into it, almost everything is copied. What do you call modern medicine now? See, we have an idea, anything modern must come from America or the West. Otherwise it's not modern. That is not the meaning of the word modernity. Modernity should come from our antiquity. We improve our antiquity and become modern. That's the idea. I'll give you one example in this context before I forget. Lot of work has been done on Ayurvedic drugs, homeopathic drugs, based on the Western model of reductionism. Now, for example, you want to study something in Ayurveda. Even the government of India was at that time sponsoring what's called a golden triangle method. That is, you know this drug helps this disease, so you don't have to search for it. You take the Ayurvedic drug, find out what chemical it has got. That's what these chemists mostly think. The chemical is the most important thing. And take the chemical out and then study it. I had written to the then Director General, whose baby it was, that this won't work because it is not the bits that make the whole. Remember that? If you now understand quantum physics, it's the interconnectedness that makes the whole. When you don't have the interconnectedness, nothing works. For example, garlic. The bits do not have the properties of the whole. Give an example, there are 42 studies on garlic pearls. At the end of which, the British Medical Journal editor wrote an editorial. Garlic is good for cooking, but not for as a medicine. So I wrote to her, Fiona, you have not done any studies on garlic. What you have done studies is garlic pearls, sulfhydryl group. So you take the SH group and make the garlic into a pearl. So it's good for the germs for their health in the toilet. It will go directly out as nothing. I wrote to her, if you want to do studies on garlic, you must have garlic, take it in the mouth, munch it for a half a minute, 2 minutes, then it becomes the alanine in garlic gets mixed with the trypsin in the saliva and becomes allicin, and allicin is a medicine. So some young scientists in Tata Institute of Fundamental Research caught up with this paper, and they did something phenomenal. Brahmi, you know Brahmi ek patta? So they said, lot of work has been done on Brahmi's extracts, nothing happened. These boys made a chutney out of Brahmi, which my grandmother used to do before I went for the exam, and she used to give it. It was good for memory, she used to say. When I went to the medical school and got my degree and all, I thought, my grandmother is a bloody fool. What does she know about it? That's what we think, the Western thoughts. Anyway, these boys did that and fed a group of rats. Within 6 months, the rats became so brilliant, they could get out of any maze. They killed the rat, and what they found was the hippocampus major, the area of the brain which is for memory. Mind you, the mind is not in the brain, but the memory is in the brain, and that has become 3 times its normal size. And when they cut open the hippocampus major, they found the cells were hyperactive. So this paper you must read. It's so beautiful a paper done by this, and they got a crore of grant also from the granting agency. Usually the grants are not coming for this kind of studies. So it is not the bits and pieces that make the thing, it's the whole that makes the thing. That's the essence of Ayurveda and the essence of everything. Western medicine only follows reductionism. You take a chemical, a part of it, and do what is called RCT, randomized control trials, and which we think is the basis of all our scientific medicine, quote unquote, scientific medicine. What is the science of it? I will come to that later. So this is the difference. So modernity should come from our antiquity. There's an old saying in Latin, respici to prospici. If you want to look forwards, you will look backwards. Even throwing a javelin throw, you don't throw like this, it won't go far. Take it back and throw it, it will go very far. So go back to our ancient wisdom. Everything that is in the modern science now, I'm not talking the conventional dead Western science of physics, chemistry and biology. The modern evolutionary science, evolutionary biology, systems biology, which comes to Ayurveda. Quantum physics. Quantum physics has almost come to Advaita. And quantum physics has now revolutionized scientific look at what we do. Come back, as so beautifully put by Max Planck, there is no perception without a perceiver. Let us say, I do work on a rat or a dog and say it is science. If you do on the same rat work, the results will be 40% difference. If a woman does work on the rat and a man does work on the same rat, difference can be 20 to 60%. If you change your pheromone, you just put on a nice scent, whole body you bathe with a very expensive scent and go and do the work, it will be different. The rat has a perception. You have a perception. You have a consciousness, rat has a consciousness, and they interact and the results are totally different. This is very interesting. This shows that all our Western scientific reductionist studies are not true, which is being proved one by one. Like for example, Karthikeyan was talking about cholesterol. I said cholesterol cannot be a disease for the simple reason that if you try to lower your cholesterol, the body will produce more cholesterol. If you try to stop the cholesterol being made, because 90% of the cholesterol is made in your liver, because for your good, let us say you live a very high-fly life on the edge of it. You know, you are running after money, you are running after power, you are running after chair. I always tell people, Indians are Pita Jnanis. They may not be Jnana Pitas, but they are Pita Jnanis. They know how to sit in the chair and how to get someone out of the chair and occupy the chair. Now come to that level of what is happening now is, we run a life which is full of stress. I want to destroy somebody. I want to take him off that chair and sit there. All this will make you very, very tense. And to save you at that time, to produce more steroids to keep you going, you require more cholesterol. If you don't have cholesterol, you can't make steroid hormones. So body makes more cholesterol for your own good. Otherwise, what you eat, whether you eat grass or you eat beef every 3 times a day, it doesn't matter, because 10% of the cholesterol comes from the food. Actually, in 1960, late 60s, we had a BBC big debate on cholesterol. There was one lady, she had a big diary. She gave a challenge to everybody on the television. She said, whatever is your cholesterol level, come to me. I'll give you milk in the morning, milk in the afternoon, milk at night, and get your cholesterol down. At that time, I thought she was foolish, but now I know she is right, because if you feed more cholesterol from outside, your body will produce less cholesterol. See, that's what's called the body's intelligence. Now anyway, I'm very happy that recently, not recently, 3 years ago, the American government, the USDA, which once in 5 years it gives its pronouncement, saying that cholesterol is not a disease, so you must eat better and you must eat more. And they said eggs, bacon and ham are probably the ideal breakfast rather than eating all that junk that you have today. Now this U-turn came after millions of people have suffered from cholesterol lowering drugs. So let us not in the first place ape everything that is the Western one and think it is modern, and then you call it as a modern science. Now how did science become science? Medicine become a science? You know the story? Well, in Europe, so-called modern medicine today started 5,000 years ago as mumbo-jumbo, witchcraft and sorcery on the Nile Valley. It moved from there, went to Arabia. And one man who changed the course of so-called modern medicine today was Ibn Sina, who the American scholars Avicenna. Avicenna is not his name, he is Ibn Sina. And Ibn Sina had added a lot of sense into the so-called witchcraft of the modern medicine. Then it went to Greece. Greece, of course, it had the influence of Hippocrates and others in Greece. And from then it moved on. And in Europe, 12th century, all churches, most churches became universities overnight. That's why today the gown that you wear for the convocation, the vice chancellor, chancellor, deacon, rector, These are all church terminologies and they have nothing to do with education. They are ecumenical terminologies. So these universities accepted medicine as science. So one fine morning, you become science. You understand that? That's the definition. But surgery was not accepted as science. Up until 1572, when the Royal College of Surgeons of England started, they were called barber surgeons. Even today in the West, when you pass your FRCS, you're not called a doctor, you're called Mr. Or if you're a girl, you're called Miss. And that continues even to this day because British are a great tradition and they believe in their tradition. So you are a barber surgeon. So surgery was not science at all. How did medicine become a science in America? Of course, these Europeans moved on to the New World when the New World was discovered, thanks to India, because Columbus went in search of Indian spices and lost his way and went somewhere and then got that beautiful land for them. So they should be eternally grateful to us for getting that beautiful land, large land, 4 times the mass of India and 1/3 the population of India. So they're really enjoying life at our cost. Because he said, yeah, that's why the Indians are called Indians. Because he said, they're Indians. He was in Cuba. But he thought he was in probably Calicut. That's the mistake he did. Now coming back to the modern medical evolution after that, America, there were 247 medical colleges around the turn of the last century. They were teaching everything. Except Ayurveda, they were teaching everything. The so-called Western medicine, so-called homeopathy, radioaesthesia, chiropractic, osteopathy, and what have you. Now there are 3 brilliant men who were very rich in America at that time. Nelson Rockefeller Sr., J.B. Morgan, and Andrew Carnegie. These were rich people. And when you're very rich, I have studied some of these rich people. When you're very rich, you want more power. You go after power. So they had a meeting together one day and said, look, each one of us fighting one another because we want to make more money. We will be rich, but we will not be powerful. So let's have a consortium. 3 of us join together and we can control the world. So they joined together into a consortium and got a friend of theirs to advise them as to how to control the world. Of course, initially the advice given was, you fund the First World War, you will control the world. They did that. And when they found out after some time, 15 million white men were dead in the war. If Indians and Africans were dead, nobody would have bothered. So much so in England, no girl had a husband. That's why they were given to spinning. That's why it's called spinster. Because you don't have a husband, you start spinning. So they said 15,000 white men died and so many orphans without fathers and so many girls without husbands. So war is not the best thing to fund. Then they again called this friend, gave him some more money and said, get us a better way of doing. The man said, control education and you will control the world. That was a beautiful idea. And so they said, let's control medical education first. They were already funding 47 medical colleges in America at that time, the 3 of them together. And they were trying to get control over these, having the board members from their companies on the board. And they influenced the American president at that time, because American presidents were elected by these rich people only. Even today, American presidents are probably elected by the drug companies. In the olden days, oil companies. Today, drug companies are 3 times more powerful than the oil companies. Their lobby is 3 times more. So they told the president, you get these medical colleges examined to see which of them are scientific and which are not. So the president said, okay, go ahead. Then they said, whom to now have this commission to... Thank you. They chose a man called Abraham Flexner. The very famous Flexner Report 2010, you must have all read. Abraham Flexner was a retired headmaster of Andrew Carnegie High School. What did he know about medicine? What did he know about science? What did he know about anything? Nothing. So the Flexner goes around 247 medical colleges in 1 year, comes out with a beautiful report which said, these 47 medical colleges which are doing chemical drug trials, because they all are from naphtha, chemical derived now, they are scientific, rest of them are not scientific. So overnight this new system classification started. What did the government do? They didn't do anything. They had no knee-jerk reaction. They published this Flexner report every day in the morning, front page of New York Times for 1 year. Naturally, the other colleges died a natural death. No student went to them. So from this 47, it became about 99 or so now. And all these are only chemical drug treating medical colleges. That is why Western medicine is chemical drug treating science. What is science truly? Marie Curie said, science is measurement, measurement is science. If that were so, you can't think. Can you think? Can you measure your thinking? No, no. So unscientific. Thinking is unscientific. You love your boyfriend or a girlfriend. Do you? Can you measure love? Unscientific. So what cannot be measured is unscientific. So science dies a natural death when measurement. This world cannot be measured by science. That's why we only know 5% of the world. Nuclear energy, gravitational energy, and electromagnetic energy, because they can be measured. 95% of the occult energy cannot be measured, but that's the most powerful energy. I will very soon tell you what you can do with occult energy. We'll come back to that. So it became a science overnight, and by the wrong route, and this science has no meaning. So they refined the diagnosis science. They changed. John von Neumann, a Hungarian chemist, Hungarian-born ethnic chemist, American Nobel laureate, who said, I quote, science is making models. Mark my words. Science is making models, comma, which are mathematical constructs, semicolon, which with verbal jargon are supposed to work, full stop. Okay, keep the definition. Now modern medicine, so-called scientific medicine, we say, has a scientific base of linear mathematics or reductionist science, which is not a holistic science. Now human body is not linear at all. It's a dynamic holistic system. Now if you measure the human body linearly, what will happen? I'll give you an example. When you go to a cardiologist, he will check you and say, oh, your ejection fraction is only 40%. So you are worried. That fear kills you. Mind you, you will soon die. But what is he right? What is he doing? He is using a linear mathematical model. Science is making models, right? Mathematical model. What's the really mathematical model? What is the amount of blood pumped out with each contraction of the heart? Okay? That's called ejection fraction. So he is using this linear measurement into a non-linear structure, heart. Linear mathematics is Euclidean. So Euclidean mathematics works on Euclidean structures only. It must be either a square, globe, triangle, square, or oblong. Heart is neither of these. None of these. Heart cannot be. Heart actually is a non-linear structure which requires a different mathematical model which we can't understand. That's called non-linear mathematics, which in the West is called Mandelbrot's mathematics and in the East is called Vedic mathematics. Very difficult, very, very difficult. Mandelbrot alone understood it. And that's how Mandelbrot constructed the computers on the basis of binary numbers. So non-linear mathematics is used in, linear mathematics is used in a non-linear structure. So the ejection fraction is absolutely wrong. Sometimes we get patients with an ejection fraction of 25. He has gone to Ayyappa temple 3 times. You know where it is? It's almost like the Himalayas. I simply believe in what the patient says. I ask him, can you go up to the first floor without any trouble? Yes. Second floor, trouble. Third floor? Yes. Then your ejection fraction is probably more than normal. Here is a patient with an ejection fraction of 40% from the doctor. He can't go to the toilet without having chest pain and breathlessness. That is because we are marrying linear mathematics to a non-linear structure. It's not only an intercaste marriage, it's now a marriage which has to be divorced very soon. The sooner we do, the better. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have told you, if not enough to say that the Western scientific base of medicine is all wrong. I have been saying this for a long time. I am very happy last year, the chairman of the NICE is the biggest organization in England. That is the NICE is the organization which controls clinical excellence. National Institute of Clinical Excellence. Michael Rollins, Sir Michael Rollins is the president. And Sir Rollins was giving a talk at the Royal College, what's called the appointed lectures, the named lectures. And he said, I quote, unfortunately we have been giving RCTs and keeping them at a high pedestal, saying that they're a scientific thing, is not deserved. RCTs do not deserve to be the pedestal at which they are kept, which means all our studies, which you and I believe in practice also, are not true. Is it clear now? Which means the Western scientific medicine is not really scientific, if you want to know. But based on these, the class system started. Western medicine is scientific. All other things not scientific. One day I was giving a lecture in IIT Bombay, and they had invited me to give a lecture on blood pressure. IIT, you know, IIT is all supposed to be very brilliant boys and girls and brilliant professors. So lecture went on. So I told them, what is blood pressure? A physics teacher in the class, PUC class, tells the student, laminar flow cannot exert lateral pressure because if it does, then it can't flow. Cosine 90 is 0. Right? Yeah. Mucks up. Passes CET with very high rank. Gets into the medical school. Physiology professor comes, class. Lateral pressure exerted by the flowing blood is called lateral blood pressure. That's blood pressure. Lateral pressure exerted by the flowing blood on the vessel wall is called blood pressure. I said, what is this? Where do these two things go? Second thing is, does the blood flow laminarly inside the blood vessel? Supposing you have an obstruction of the blood pressure, we say, oh, it's very bad obstruction. Have you heard of the Bernoulli effect? As a matter of fact, the blood flow may be better with a little obstruction. I was telling Karthikeyan Saab that the obstruction to the coronary arteries. See, with the simple three things we didn't ask ourselves. Why don't animals get a heart attack? Why only man should get a heart attack? Have you ever thought about it? Number two, coronary arteries fill in diastole, not in systole. So the pressure head is so low that why should coronary arteries have atherosclerosis? I can understand the carotid arteries, leg arteries having, because the pressure is high, systemic pressure. Here diastolic pressure. So if you ask these three questions, it will be very clear to you that atherosclerosis is not a disease at all. Atherosclerosis is a good thing that the body does to band-aid an injury to your vessel wall. It's a beautiful band-aid. Actually, Valentin Fuster, a very famous cardiologist, interventional cardiologist in Washington, has written, I quote, he said, less than 30% of the infarct-related coronary arteries are more than 50% blocked. Did you understand that? Less than 30% of the infarct-related vessel means the vessel which supplies the heart attack area, which is a block, are less than 50% blocked. So bigger block is not important, lesser block is important. And if you go deep into it, you find out animals do not get a heart attack because animals can produce vitamin C in their system. You and I get a heart attack because we don't have capacity to produce vitamin C. So heart attack possibly is a younger brother of scurvy. You have heard scurvy, where you bleed everywhere. Here you bleed into the vessel wall and then the vessel wall gets blocked and then heart attack comes. I mean, we don't think. Every newborn child wrote, Alexis Carrel, a Nobel laureate surgeon who taught surgeons how to stitch blood vessels. He wrote, every newborn child is a genius, only to be converted into an idiot in school. Because he stopped thinking. Otherwise, a student who is supposed to be a good student, quote unquote, who gets highest mark is called a good student, no? Is the best mugger. Who has said cosine 90 is 0, how can he accept the physiology professor saying that cosine 90 is the cause? Then one professor of physics got up during question hour. He said, you're a brilliant lecturer. I too don't believe in this blood pressure and all. I don't take medicines for that. But you mentioned Ayurveda. That's scientific. Then you are a quack. I don't want to listen to you. This is the attitude of a professor in the IIT of physics. So I told him, sir, I'm so sorry, you are a professor in IIT. He didn't like that. He was very angry. I told him, I thought professors in IIT we are wise people. You are a knowledgeable man in your subject, but you have no wisdom. Because you don't know what Ayurveda is. And you're talking about a thing you don't know. And Ayurveda probably has got the strongest scientific base because it depends on non-linear mathematics. Ayurveda depends on nonlinear mathematics. And Ayurveda probably has the best base of, and Ayurveda has a beautiful idea. It's not the idea of, Ayurveda's idea is life positive. Swastasya, swasta, rakshitam. Preserve the health of the well. From the community point of view, very economical model. On a given day, about 2% of the people will be sick. 98% are well. If you can try and preserve their wellness without getting them to go into sickness, won't you save millions and millions and trillions of dollars? Now, you all want cancer to go away from this world, no? Is that right? Anybody wants cancer to be here more? More? No? A lot of people want cancer to be here more. Government has permitted 240 chemicals to be used in various human things, including eating things, which are all carcinogenic. I'll give you an example. Many of you don't have lipstick. You know the lipstick you put? It's got so many pro-estrogens that a study recently showed that the western breast size has increased one size more. 30 size has become 31 in the last 25 years because the pro-estrogens in lipstick. I wrote to the airlines here. I wrote to, what's his name? Goyal. Because he insists that the air hostesses put not lipstick once, but before each flight they must put the lipstick. Otherwise they are punished for that. And the supervisors see and say, your lipstick is not up to the mark. So I wrote to him, don't kill your girls. After all, why lipstick? Probably people don't know the history of lipstick. Did you know that? How many of you know the history of lipstick? Nobody? Shall I tell you? Yes, secret. The prostitutes in Paris, they were not selling their wares by, exposing themselves. They were putting the color of their vagina onto the lips, so to sell that idea to the prospective customers. That's how lipstick started. Different colors. Jodi, I should not have said that. Anyway, unparliamentary, but that's exactly what it was. And we promote that today. A newborn baby in America today has 242 chemicals in the umbilical cord, which means it has come from the mother. Now, are you really thinking of curtailing cancer? I don't think so. There are 4,000 articles which are not published, hidden, not published under the carpet, which say eating meat regularly makes the body system acidic, and that's one of the very important causes of cancer. Did you know that? You knew that? I see, I didn't. Government permits that. Government helps you that. You know the scent you put, puch and all. It has got so many chemicals, carcinogens. You put sunscreen, there's an advertisement, don't go in the sun, you will get skin cancer. If skin cancer were due to sun's rays, every dog, every buffalo, every cow should have had skin cancer and become extinct. Because you expose only some parts of your body. The whole back of these quadrupeds expose the sun, all the time he is out. It's a great thing. Eh? We saw that Swamiji now has changed little. Karthikeyan's house, he was doing a scientific study on a Swamiji. He will not eat anything. And Kalama, Karthikeyan's great wife, was alive those days and she was keeping a careful watch on him. He'll not take any food. Stand there for 4 hours and look at the sun without batting an eyelid. And his eyes were examined in Moorfield Eye Hospital in London, the oldest and the best eye hospital. They said his eyes are the beautiful eyes. Today we know, there's a nice study if you want to know. Nobody's putting dark glasses inside. Using the dark glasses is one of the ways you are preventing the ultraviolet rays from the sun entering your retina and making your eyes good. And you will be surprised. The ultraviolet rays of the sun going through the retina stimulate your pineal gland, which is the master of the whole orchestra of endocrines. So half of your problem is because you put on some of our politicians put it on at night also. Because they can't look you in the eye. It's so nice to look at the sun, so nice to be in the sun. I take an opportunity in the airport and all, and the queue is there for getting into the plane in some southern, very hot sun. I will be the last in the queue because I want to get more of the sun at least, because, otherwise we are all the time inside the house. We don't go out. I tell women, just sit in the sun for 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, go for a walk. You don't have to take anything for your bones. Your bones will be fine. And this people don't do because ladies are afraid. Sunscreen is the cause of skin cancer. Government permits the sunscreen. So we don't want diseases to go, because if diseases go away, what will we do? Truly true. So, now coming back to this caste system, in the life positive movement, let us end this caste system. Let us get everybody who says he is a healer together on one table. And it can't be done independently, because if you talk to a allopath, or what you call allopath, everything is allopathy, remember that, except homeopathy, all things are allopathy. Ayurveda is also allopathy. Now if you ask a Western doctor to suggest an Ayurvedic fellow for a treatment, he won't do that. And you can't ask them to come together. What we do in our research center in Chennai is, when we find we can't do anything for a particular person, we know some Ayurvedic people and homeopaths who are very good, and we call them and say, look, take charge of this patient. And what we do is we record all the things and send the patient there and record the outcomes also. So we're building a big database, and we have a few people. There's one lady in I won't tell the name because it will be advertising her. She can do very well for renal failures. See, America, I want to send her to America, because in America there is a rule now, though we say Western medicine is very good now, if you are 65, you are not given a kidney transplant, even if your kidney is failing. For the rest of your life, you will be on dialysis. And dialysis is such a nasty thing if you want to be on. If you are 65, no transplant. This is the medicine that we practice. For all these things, you need money, man. Without money, nothing happens. Money is the thing that runs this world. And I always say, money is the cause of all diseases. Did you know that? No, you didn't know. I'll tell you this study. There's a nice study which shows that. If you have a money, you must push this idea. We must get these people together and have a database which says who is good for treating what. A lot of people claim, I do this, that and all. I'll tell you a recent example. We had a nurse whom Karthikeyan knows, Rama. She runs our whole research center. This girl had an upper respiratory infection, I tell you, fever, etc., etc. She took all the antibiotics and all. She was in bed with such bad sinusitis, this and that. We have a homeopath who is very good in this area. So we sent her to that homeopath. 3 days later, she is back at work. Absolutely fine. I called her yesterday and said, Rama, how are you? She said, I'm fine, sir. Fit as a fiddle. 10 days she suffered taking antibiotics. Each antibiotic pill you take kills millions of germs in your gut. And when the gut is damaged, your immune system is gone. The headquarters of your gut is in the immune system. That's why in America now, if you have a very bad infection with superbugs and nothing helps, do you know the treatment? Give someone else's shit through a Ryle's tube. And when once you replace the gut with the normal flora, the infection disappears in 4 hours. This is called fecal transplant. So America does it, so we accept it. Now we've gone one step further. In America you get poop capsules. Small capsules, $5. So it boosts your immune system. That is the strength of Ayurveda. What does Ayurveda say? Panchakarma. In Panchakarma, you only boosting the immune system. I have a Western medical doctor, a professor of radiology in a medical college in Maharashtra, who had a massive heart attack. And they did everything for him. Bypass surgery, this, that, but he was not able to get up from bed. He said, I am going to use the Ayurvedic method. He caught hold of cow's colostrum, which is a very good immune booster. And he has produced a tablet called Immugen. And he has now got back. He doesn't take any medicine and he is absolutely fine. He has left the medical college and he is doing this business of selling immune boosters. So happy. His ejection fraction has come back to normal. He is 24 hours, he is working and he has forgotten his heart. He is heartless now. That is the power. But then you should know when to mix, when to combine. If you go on saying that across the board I'll say all systems must come together, nothing will happen. Because they hate each other like mouse and the mongoose and the snakes. So because what is the hatred? Do you know? I'll take you to history, because history, you learn from history. If you do not, you relive history. 50 years before the American Medical Association started, doctors in America thought their methods of treatment were so bad that they wanted to homeopathic association. So the first homeopathic association in America started 50 years before medical association started by American MD doctors. And who was Heinemann? He was an MD doctor in Germany. He couldn't save his own son when the needle went into him and he gets septicemia and died. This man thought, what's the use of my MD degree? I have not been able to save my son. Then of course he copied from a Canadian doctor who had written a book on this, similibus something. And it was not originally his. And always in history, the man who publishes a thing in the world gets the credit. Nobel Prize are also like that. The man really who invented doesn't get the credit. So that Canadian man didn't get any credit. Anyway, homeopathy exists. Now homeopathy also has got certain advantages. It has got a lot of problems. Modern medicine has certain advantages, let me tell you. Supposing I fall down under the car in Delhi roads, I can't say I'll do yoga and sit and do Om and then get back. No, somebody has to set my bones, somebody has to do something. But then what we don't realize is, youngsters who go without a helmet in the road, I tell them, nobody can help you if your head is broken. Doctors cannot do anything for brain injury. We just hoping against hope that something will happen. If the patient recovers, we take the credit. If the patient dies, we give the credit to God. He always kills and we save. So have a helmet, because nobody can save. Now these kind of things modern medicine can do.